We're joined by Labor Secretary Hilda Solis. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's get right to the numbers. That your department reporting an improvement in the number of people signing up for unemployment assistance for the first time has fallen to 451,000. Now that's a drop for the second time in 2 weeks, but I believe it's the lowest in 2 months. So the question is, at what point, what number, where does that number have to be in order for the unemployment rate, which is now 9.6%, where does that number have to be for the unemployment rate to have to start coming down?
Well, it really needs to go down a lot more. We should be adding well over 100,000 jobs per month if we're going to actually get out of this bad recession. And the 9.6 unemployment rate, it actually goes a little back and forth. Last month it was 9.5. It ticked up a bit, and part of that was because 500,000 people were looking for jobs. So that has another influence there. So at some point, all the figures don't look that bad. We actually added about 61,000 jobs, and every month for the last 8 months we've been adding jobs. So on an average about 90,000 each month for the last 8 months. That is over 760,000 jobs that have been added. When you think about it, when the President took office, we were losing well over 740,000 jobs. So to be adding jobs, people need to understand that. I know it isn't quick enough because we have 14 million people out of work. People need to get their unemployment insurance, and people are still finding that you have maybe 5 individuals competing for that one job. So I want to drive people to go to our new website page. It's called myskillsmyfuture.org, and they can find out what skill sets they have that are appropriate, and maybe search for a new job or a new career, and to find out exactly where the jobs are in their vicinity. So I want to drive people to that site, myskillsmyfuture.org.
Now, as you mentioned, it's 9.6%, and it moves around a little bit, but it is causing some political problems for the president, obviously. And we've got midterms coming up in 2 months. So what is the Labor Department telling folks who have been out of work for so long leading up to the elections? Because is it a question of just sort of being patient and being aggressive?
I think it's both, but also people need to know that because of the Recovery Act, we still have people that have jobs. In fact, we helped to save about over 3 million jobs. And I know that as we continue to see reports coming out about where job growth is occurring, we've made investments in training programs that will target green energy, renewable energy, healthcare careers, IT, broadband. That's where we continue to see streams of growth in every monthly report that I look at in terms of where unemployment rates are and where jobs are being created. So we have made major investments, well over $500 million alone in green technology. That's so people can manufacture lithium batteries, can assemble solar panels, and also get involved in the development, especially in the automobile industry that was so hard hit, in hybrid vehicles. And in the automobile industry alone, there have been well over 760,000 jobs created because of the ability for GM and Chrysler to come out of that bankruptcy. We actually saved jobs there. And now as a result, you're seeing even the second and two-tier suppliers that are actually coming back and hiring people so they can get ready to sell these cars and assemble these new vehicles.
Well, that leads into where this education system is here now in this country. I mean, is this country turning out enough engineers and enough scientists in order to compete in this global marketplace where so many of these technical jobs are needed?
And you know, that has been, I think, a priority for this administration. That's why they've made more financial aid available, so working middle-class families could afford to get financial aid and not have to pay the high rates of tuition, lowering the loans that students can actually get, and making sure that people can even pay off those loans if they do service. Say if you're a doctor, you want to become a doctor, you can, or a teacher, you can work in an area that really is high need, and you can pay off your loans there. We have some tremendous programs. They've actually upped the Pell Grant program, which I happen to know about because I was a Pell Grant recipient myself when I was going to college, and I know how important that is for working families, because right now they're dipping into their savings to send their children to school, and it's unfortunate. So we want to help them out as best we can.
So in this economy, we still, though, have cities, we have the states. They're really having to trim their budgets.
Right, because they're not getting any of that tax revenue because businesses aren't paying taxes because they're kind of flatlined. So we've been able to help put monies into the state government, local government, so you could have firefighters, police officers, as well as teachers.
And teachers, but are they not laying off teachers now?
I think some areas there are, but I think we've helped to put a stop, or at least the major hemorrhaging. I know in my state of California, that was very helpful for many teachers that were pink slip. They're back on the job, and thank goodness, because they're there teaching our children what they need to have in terms of their education. And you asked me earlier, are we producing enough people that have good education? I think we have not in the past. We've neglected that. And now the president wants to fast forward that and make sure that by the year 2020 that we have more people that have college educations. And that's why he's making so much more effort to allow for financial aid to be available for middle class families.
Now, another hot political topic, which you must hear every single day, is this the new immigrants coming to the United States. And some critics obviously saying that these new arrivals are taking jobs from people who are already here. Is that true?
Well, we know that in recent reports, actually, the number of people coming over the border has actually declined, and there's been massive deportation that's occurred. What I would tell you, though, is that we have a broken immigration system, and you can't have 50 states out there trying to attempt to put in their own immigration bill. This is a federal issue, and it has to be addressed by the Congress and the Senate. And I know the president has spoken to members of the Senate and the House, and they would like to see comprehensive immigration reform done. Now, whether or not we get to that magic number of 60, I'm not sure, but certainly people need to continue to do that, because if we can bring these people out of the shadows, have them pay a penalty, pay back taxes, get in the back of the line, learn English, have no criminal background, then I think all of our economy, our whole economy, will improve, because now these people will be paying taxes.
And that tends to be a problem. Obviously, the reason the states are trying to take matters into their own hands, so to speak, is that there's this complaint that the federal government is not taking on the responsibility of the immigration issue. So in one sense, they are doing, as you've heard a million times, what the federal government is not doing, as they're saying.
Well, I would say to you that the way that I see it is that, unfortunately, there's a magnet, obviously. There are employers who hire these people who know that they don't have documentation. And that really hurts the American worker, because if you're able to bring in people and pay them less wages, how does that fare for other people and businesses that are playing by the rules? So we want to go after those bad employers that are doing that, to stop that behavior, and then also kind of reinforce the fact that we need to have a decent wage scale so that we don't lower wages, and that if people do come in through special visa programs or H-2A programs, that we don't also shortchange them and somehow compete unfairly with our American workers. We want to make sure American workers get those jobs before those people in agriculture, for example, that want to go out and bring people in from another country. First, make sure and survey that all American workers even know that they can go work in the field and maybe make $12 an hour. Okay, if no one shows up, then by all means, those businesses have a legitimate reason to go outside. But they also have to meet standards. They have to make sure that they have transportation and housing for those people that they bring in, and that they pay them comparable salaries to other farm workers that are here in this country, that are U.S. farm workers.
The international labor market has reported that youth unemployment worldwide is among the highest that it's ever been. Now, in the United States, in the month of July, youth employment has been at its lowest level ever for that month. And we're talking about a population of ages 16 to 24, 25. I mean, what is this an indication of right now?
Well, what it's showing is that we have very overqualified people at an older age that are actually taking those jobs that would have normally gone to, say, youth, many young people. And because of this recession, that has contracted and really hurt, I think, the ability for young people to get into the job force. But what we've tried to do also is to front load summer job opportunities. We've actually, through our programs, been able to see about 300,000 jobs created for summer youth in that bracket, in that age range. But that isn't enough. We need to make sure that they continue with their education, that they get into programs where you can see trends where job growth is going to occur. And I think that people have to be more flexible and adaptable.
And there is this fear, according to the ILO, that youth who are out of work, not able to get the work that they need, there can end up being this so-called lost generation of workers, because the youth considered to be the drivers of anybody's economic engine.
Well, I would hope that that won't be the case here. That's why we're making a lot of investments in our youth programs. We have a program called Youth Build. We have a program called Job Corps, where we actually identify populations and pockets of most severe areas that are hard hit with high unemployment and have a high number of youth, especially minority youth, that are also dramatically hit by this unemployment and this recession. So I know that one thing we want to continue to do is make sure that we have enough funding for education, so that if those young people, if they can't find a job, maybe they can get into a part-time job, work at that, but then also continue their education and lifelong learning. That is so important. And getting people to also think about volunteering, being interns, and getting mentorship so that they can have, at least on their resume, some work experience, because that is so important.
And once again, that website is?
Well, they can go dol.gov overall to get information about what the Department of Labor provides for every worker, and then myskillsmyfuture.org. That's the one, if you don't have a job, go right to.
Okay, Labor Secretary Hilda Solis, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.